Welcome everyone to Meeting the Challenge of Teaching in a Brave New World. This is a webinar presented by the Center for Civic Education, and we are joined by a number of master teachers, our all-star cast, and I'll mention your names, teachers, and if you would just raise your hand when I say your name so that everybody knows who you are, although you can see on their name tags who they are anyway. We have Nancy Lindblom from Mountain View High School in Mesa, Arizona. Hi, Nancy. We have Gretchen Wolfing from Tahoma High School in Maple Valley, Washington. Ashley Vasic in Boonesboro High School in Boonesboro, Maryland. Mike Potts from Brown County Junior High School in Nashville, Indiana. Dawn Beckett from St. Joseph High School in St. Joseph, Illinois. Welcome, everyone. So in this webinar, we will these teachers will be discussing their plans for teaching civics, government, history with a special focus on We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution during the 2020-21 school year during this uncertain context of the COVID-19 pandemic. I am recording the webinar and we'll have a recorded version available tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Robert Lemming, who is our We the People National Director. Bob, over to you.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. I'm glad that you're participating tonight. It's been an interesting last 5 months. And I know now that school is already started in some places, getting ready to start. And I also know that the usual answer is, what are you doing? Well, right now I'm doing this. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? But it is time, I think, that we talk. And my hope is that personally I can learn from all of you what's happening around the nation in terms of schools, because we know different things are happening. One of the things that when I recruited the folks you see on the screen is I recognized the size of their school, because I thought that certainly that would impact decisions about reopening and what that looks like. I'd like to ask folks tonight and what's happening in your school system or state, what's happening for you personally, and what's happening with your We the People class and impact for that. And I hope we can get into some good news of what the advantages and disadvantages, and we can talk about the advantages too, of using Zoom for hearings, as well as for preparation for the We the People program and how you're going to be teaching it. And personally, how's this impacted you? So if we can get to that with more than just this panel, that would be great. I'd love to have everyone jump in. I know that We the People teachers are not shy, and I think we can learn from each other. So with that, I think I'll start with Gretchen. You're from a big school, like 3,000 kids, correct?
I sure am. Yeah, just under 3,000.
And you're in Washington State in Tahoma. So what's going on? What's going on there?
Well, we were one of, because we used to be the epicenter, we were one of the first schools that went online back in the spring. It was pretty chaotic. And so our admin decided pretty early on, I think 3 weeks ago, that we're 100% online. They say first quarter, we don't go in quarters at first quarter, but it is looking like first semester will be 100% online.
So what does that mean for your We the People class?
Oh, so what it means is because they've decided to do, we have an 8-period block schedule. The decision was we'd be in quarters. And so September, October, we would be periods 1 through 4. November, December were periods 5 through 8. Well, the problem there is it looks like I'm gonna have We the People for me, because the second half won't start until November. And so I'm doing a big exhale. I really do think this group of students will be adaptable. They'll rise to the task. but I think, you know, they're still figuring out our schedule, but I just think we're going all online and we're doing live classes, and the decision has already been made that districts and probably state will be online.
So you'll have a Zoom class 8 times a day?
Yeah, so I will have, the way they did the schedule is I'll have the first 4 periods. So 4 periods, September, October, and then I change it up. Second quarter, I have 4 periods also. If I'm making sense, I may not be.
Okay.
And that is when We the People will start, is November 1st. And I don't know, you know, how your states work, but man, we hit the ground running usually in a normal year. And so I don't see my We the People students until November 1st. So it's just going to be a different year. That's for sure. Not ideal for We the People.
Right. Ashley, what's going on? And you've got a school of around 900, correct?
Yes. So most of Maryland has decided to go virtual. My district will be 100% virtual. Our school board has not given a time frame whatsoever on what that means. They've literally just said we're virtual until further notice. We're also unique in the fact that teachers are required to be in buildings. So even though we're going to be teaching virtually, we're going to be in empty classrooms. Which is going to be,
Ashley,
yeah.
Does that mean they don't trust you to stay at home and do this?
I don't know. We don't know what the answer to that is, but
Right.
I'm actually okay with it because I would love to talk to 4 different walls. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I think the
Okay.
main reason is we'll have access to our resources and all of that there. I think so that we don't have to haul things home, and, you know, we might be able to broadcast to a larger room. I'm excited because I can stand and teach from the podium where I like to be and around a little bit. But for We the People, so our district competition, which is our first round in Maryland, will likely be virtual because we usually do it the second week of November. So we're planning for that. I am going to be able to distribute hard copy books like I always do. We're going to have a system in place to do that, but I am planning to use Actively Learn this year for content delivery. And then also the other thing I have to deal with, Gretchen, you were talking about having to wait to see some of them till November. I will see them every day, but only for 35 minutes live. And I'm used to seeing them for about an hour live every day. So I'm hoping that we are going to have some flex time in the afternoons where they're going to offer time for like extracurriculars and clubs. So I'm hoping to steal them a couple of days when we get closer to competition for those days as well.
So Ashley, you're going to be in the classroom and you're at your podium talking to it. Are you going to put up like they do at baseball or the fans? You know, you're going to just have posters of your kids?
It's funny that you asked that. So I actually took a picture of my room. I have some cardboard cutouts of presidents. And so I put them at the desks and I took a picture of the room and was like, these gentlemen will have to like keep the room comfortable. And of course, one of my We the People alums immediately jumped on my tweet and said, it's time for some women to be in that room. I said, I couldn't agree more.
There you go.
But yeah, so we'll just have to teach to the cardboard cutouts for a little while.
Right. Nancy, what about you? You're in Arizona and you've got what, 3,000 students too?
Yeah, we have 3,400 students. Yeah. So we have been, we started school yesterday. We are virtual until they tell us we're not. And honestly, no one really knows when that is. The governor's supposed to come out with an announcement in a couple of days to let us know what the benchmarks are, but literally it depends on who you talk to, and they guess we won't be back until October. We'll be back in September. It's all unknown at this point when we'll be back. But we are in a schedule that is all virtual, and I only get to see my kids in the virtual class twice a week. So they've given us, they flip-flop our classes. We meet half of them on one day and half of them on the next. And then we have Wednesday off, and then we repeat that again on Thursday and Friday. So I will only get to see them virtually for 2 hours every week, as long as we're still in virtual land. And our state has already decided that both our regional and state competition will be done virtually.
Sure. Yeah, I suspect that's going to happen in every state. And let me take a moment here. Mark Gage has created a very cool web page and we put it on our website, on the We the People site, under hearings. It's the very first click, and it can help you learn how to do Zoom hearings in your classroom. And it's also very useful for state coordinators having to figure this out later on this fall and early next year. So I would encourage you all, go there and check that out. We know it's possible. We did it. And so that's what could be helpful with that.
And there's, I just put the link in the chat.
Yeah,
Can I just jump in, Bob?
Absolutely.
I do have some questions. So Dan Marcus made the comment that he said, my school is going to go to a schedule that has each class divided into 2 alpha groups, A through L and M through Z, each group going to school on alternate days to lower the number of students in the building. Any thoughts on how to maintain a team feeling in a We the People class when they will never meet together? And then he gives the sad face emoji.
Right. But that, I think, is the ultimate question here. But Mark, thanks for asking that, because this is how this year is different than last year. Last year they got shut down, but you had those students, and so they knew each other. And there was that connection already. What's your thoughts on this, teachers, on having people only meet like this and not have any relationship prior?
Well, I think with his situation, I wonder if it's possible to, on the days like that, A through L is present and the other half isn't there. First of all, I don't know that I would assign units to different sides of the alphabet. Like I wouldn't have like a unit 1 A through L and a unit,
Right.
you have them there. But maybe if they could zoom in as like judges for the other units. So at least they have that camaraderie with one another. At least they know, like unit 1 and unit 6 are usually a good pairing for things like that. So that might be a way, if your district has the technology where students can do that.
We have the same schedule in St. Joe, Illinois, and Marshall is the head coach, so to speak. I'm the assistant coach, but we had discussed how everybody in that situation, because some kids are going to be on the A day and some kids are going to be in the B day per the groups, but everybody sort of becomes a little bit of a master of different units. So instead of having the unit 3 kids only know unit 3, they're going to have to understand a little bit more of unit 6, unit 1. So hopefully that just kind of broadens kind of the understanding and the knowledge base of all the kids for all the different units.
So we've been searching for different virtual ways to try to bring together that community, and my co-coach had discovered this. It's a virtual thread, basically. I mean, a chat room, but it takes chat to a whole different level. And I know that ASU uses it, and it's something that we're going to try. It's called Yellow Dig, and it plugs into our LMS, which is Canvas, and it allows the kids to have kind of a control over their discussion and to keep a running discussion going on about all topics that we're talking about in class. And so we're hoping that that's going to be able to form some kind of a community where we're not able to do that in the actual classroom.
Mike, I haven't gotten to you yet. Any thoughts on that question, or just the general question that we've been asking?
Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on that particular question because I'm in a different kind of circumstance. I teach at a very small school. Today was our first day, so we went back today. So I teach at a junior high, and there are about 250 students in my building. It's probably less than 1,000 in the entire corporation. So it's a really tiny school, and in my particular school, where there's only 250, that's pretty much equally divided between 7th and 8th graders. So there's basically 125 8th graders. We've put in a number of protocols. We're all meeting in person. There's the option where students can do remote learning. We have assigned teachers from each department to take one period a day to basically handle those kids, through the computers that they're teaching them live. But all of my We the People students are in my classroom for now. Hopefully it stays that way. But the number of protocols that we've done is Obviously, we want collaborative learning, but all the desks have to face the same direction. If we do collaborative learning, which we the people, obviously you all know, you have to do that. Masks have to be worn. Masks have to be worn in the classroom, even if you can't socially distance the kids at least 6 feet, which my class sizes are pretty full, so we can't do that. So everybody wears a mask. We have staggered lockers, so the 7th and 8th graders don't even have lockers next to each other. We have different passing periods for 7th and 8th graders now. Just trying to keep people away from each other. It was an interesting day. It worked smoothly. In terms of we the people.
Mike, so did the kids come? Did the kids come today?
I'm not feeling a lot of the stress or anxiety. Maybe many of you are, simply because I do have my class in the classroom with me, albeit we're all wearing masks and that sort of thing. Yes, they're there today. Yes. So
What percentage, Mike, are staying home?
There.
What percentage are staying home, Mike?
It really was a pretty normal first day for me, aside from all these new protocols.
What percentage stayed home?
I think we have about 30 kids doing the remote learning. That's so we have about what percentage?
That's
You're
about
asking
a
me to do
third.
math, Bob.
Yeah, that's about a third.
I don't know. We have 250 kids in the building, 30 kids stayed home. Okay, so
Oh, total.
not very many.
Yeah.
I have a comment, Bob. So Maria Antos asks, she says, I teach 5th grade and use the elementary We the People book. I have no other standards to teach, so I don't start teaching until the spring. Will you be including the elementary discussion? So I'm just wondering if we have any insights for elementary teachers.
Before we get to that, Mark, I generally speaking, that's the case, that elementary teachers seem to use We the People in the spring, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to exclude you from this conversation, and I'm happy you're on tonight, but we will be doing one of these with elementary teachers later on in the year, closer to when most elementary classes are using the material. But certainly anybody here wants to jump in terms of elementary, if you feel you have something you can add, please do.
Maria says, thank you. And it might be a good time also for me, Bob, to launch the poll. I created a poll that I'll go ahead and start, and just go ahead and answer it whenever you want. And the panelists are welcome to vote as well. We're just trying to get a feeling for what you're doing, what's happening in your school, whether you feel safe, what materials you'll be using. I'm curious to know what learning management systems you're using, and also what video conferencing, if any, you're going to be doing this year. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be doing video conferencing. I don't know why.
See, again, Mark, this is where we need the Jeopardy theme song.
Right. Well, we can keep talking while people will just answer it as they do.
Yes, they can do two things at once, right?
Yep. Let's see.
Is there, from the panel, before we jump to more of the audience participation, anything you want to add in that we haven't discussed yet? Well, one question I had was, do you have teachers at your schools that have decided to just retire?
Wow.
Yeah,
We
do.
have no
We have
subs if it's any consequence.
Or take leaves of absence because they don't feel comfortable coming back, because we're required to come back.
Right.
So if they're not feeling especially if they have a medical issue, or if they just don't feel safe coming into a building with other staff members,
Right.
Have some taking leaves of absence. So
yeah, we have teachers that have retired and we don't have subs. So
Yeah.
we just talked all about how everyone has to cover everybody's classes, all of that, because we just don't have, most of our subs are older and are choosing not to sub.
It's hard to get subs in normal times, so.
Right.
The same for us too. We have to cover everybody's classes if need be.
I think we went 100% online pretty early on for a variety of reasons, but Bob, that's one of them, in that teachers were uncomfortable. It was going to be messy. It wasn't the only reason, but that's one of them.
Well, it's certainly understandable. You're getting pretty close to retirement anyway, and you go, you know, I don't need this, right? And you know, I mean, it does put everybody else with some problems, but it's not, I mean, I'm not going to blame them for if they have health conditions or they're older, not going in. I mean, it's going to be, you know, this is like a scientist's dream. There's going to be huge research, I hope, done on the way things are, people are doing things, and to see what the implications are, what's the, you know, what's the learning curve and so forth. It seems to me that some students on the high end who could become self-learners can really advance with this. Self-directed students that say, look, you know, what I learn in the class doesn't really matter much. I'm better at this actually myself. Now that's a small percentage of students, I understand, but they may excel with this. The middle students, who knows, but I'm worried about the students on the bottom end who already need more attention. What's your thoughts on that in terms of student achievement?
Well, our district realizes that this is going to be a challenge, and so we don't start until right after Labor Day.
Wow.
But they're and I think that's another reason why we went online, so we'd have time. And so they realize this is a huge problem. Some of our special needs students, and so I don't have the answer, but they're working really hard to come up with some ideas, because the online learning platform is not ideal for a lot of students.
So we were told we were going to be going back in a blended form before we end up going back full on, and that they would start bringing certain groups of kids back first. And one of the priority students that will be brought back onto campus are our higher needs students, because it's just so difficult to meet their needs in an online world. So they'll be the first kids to come back and be some of the only kids on campus for a little while before we'll end up back in the classroom.
I'm
Mark,
just curious.
Go ahead, Mark. Are there questions?
No, I'm just curious to know whether a lot of kids from you teachers, are you running into a lot of kids or a significant number that have problems connecting and using the virtual learning tools, like, you know, poor connectivity at home or devices that don't work, and how do your schools handle that?
Yeah. So our district actually, even though we only have about 900 students, our district is the largest by square miles. We have a really large socioeconomic gap. We have kids that have no electricity, and then we have kids that live in $1 million homes. So our district has actually made a commitment, and we don't know what this means in action, but they have basically said, if you need internet, if you need connectivity, we're going to make sure you have it. We were already one-to-one before this happened for grades 2 through 12. And they expanded that for our pre-K, K, and 1 students. So all of our PK to 5th grade students will have iPads, and all of our middle and high school students will have Chromebooks as devices at home. And then as far as the connectivity, they're working with the local internet provider to provide either free or significantly reduced connectivity. And they've talked about all of our schools are hotspots now. So I don't know what that all looks like in action, but that's what they've made the commitment to do.
How about someone else? How are your students dealing with the connectivity issues and the device issues?
So Brown County is a very rural community, and we really struggle with that. There are a number of kids, several kids who do not have connectivity at home. And so when we went to e-learning in the spring, we offered paper packets to send home with those who didn't. This year, those kids who opt out of coming physically to school will not have that option.
Mhm.
I'm not real sure the equity in that, but we have set up a number of hotspots in our schools. And so last spring, a number of students would come to the parking lot of the school and do their e-learning, which obviously is not ideal. But it's a connectivity is a major problem in our community.
Yeah, at that point, it starts to resemble one of those, church services where everybody goes in their car and drives up,
Yeah.
kind of like a drive-through movie or something like that. That is really amazing. And I'm also curious as to how the teachers are dealing with this. I know, from the experience of my own kids, you kind of thrown in the deep end unexpectedly. How is that going? And, some teachers are able to, from my experience, are able to handle it with no problem, grace, and, and everything else. But some had issues with it. How is this going in everyone's schools without naming any names, of course?
Well, in general, I'm a little bit of a spaz, but I feel like, but I'm really excited about this, about the spring, spring, it happened so quickly and our district was really supportive, but it just wasn't possible for them to support us enough. I'm excited and want to get really good at this. And it's going to be a huge learning curve. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm really excited. There is, Mark, a significant amount of anxiety by teachers around this issue. And and I don't want to be an ageist or whatever, but it seems like the younger teachers are ready to go, ready to adapt. It seems like the more senior teachers have a lot of anxiety. And that's why we end up going with this quarter system. So teachers only have 4 classes at once, which, and we usually have 8. And so, I wish it wasn't that way, frankly, but I think, a lot of us are excited to get good at this. So.
Absolutely. Maybe it's not.
I've actually thought that there's some aspects of what we're learning and implementing that are going to stay around and actually help us be better teachers in the future that maybe we wouldn't have gotten to quite so quickly if we hadn't been forced to. So there are definitely elements of it that I think that I will continue to use after
Nancy,
we're seeing each other.
For example.
So just in communication and we are a one-to-one school. We were before, and we've been using Canvas and we've been using other tools, but different collaboration spaces that are available online that I was never using before. I've always thought that a flipped classroom where you do lecturing by video was really not the best idea because I have such interactive lectures. I don't stand up there and just lecture and the kids sit there and right, they're so interactive. But at the same time, I think, okay, if I can give you a 20-minute this and watch that, we can do so much more in class. And that's been pushing me. And I've thought, I think I actually might use some of this to push content to kids where they can pick that up at home for 20 or 30 minutes at night and then just come and really have a better discussion in class. So I think that's one of the ideas that I actually have been warming to, where I was really anti that before.
This is not exactly the most exciting that we've kind of stumbled upon, but Mike can probably attest, probably no more snow days ever again. We've kind of kicked this around. Okay, well, we have a snow day. We're going to make this day up in May. So, well, now, you can just quickly within 15, 20, half hour, just kind of bang out a bunch of assignments for the day.
I agree, Don.
Stick around for a Zoom meeting. And poof, there's the class day. So on the one hand, but we were kind of fighting this a little bit because even the teacher, we're all kind of get excited about a snow day. Come on. 11 o'clock at night, there's the scroller going across the TV. You're like, come on, say my school. Come on, say my school. But and we kind of were like, we don't want that. But then since we do this every day, it just seems, it seems kind of second nature. We didn't have an institute day, but we had, yesterday we had a number of teachers come in for, our regional office sent a person about how can we better, this blended learning. And the anxiety level of virtually all the teachers was through the roof. And the problem is us teachers, we're used to the normal. Most of us veterans in here, like, I know exactly what I'm going to do day 1, day 10, day 30, day 40. Well, this ain't a normal year. And so many of us are trying to make this a normal year. I'm going to cover all this ground, I'm going to cover all this material, and nothing's going to change. Well, that's kind of foolish to sort of think. So, we all got into teaching, I'm guessing, because we love the kids. So let's just, even if it's a week, like I think we're like, for our school in Illinois, I give us 2 weeks, and then we're going to be remote learning. Just try to make the best of it as humanly possible with the physical interaction of people that aren't your own family. Just try your best to just enjoy the youth. I think the kids are going to be excited to be at school. They're going to be glad to be there. And so, we need to embrace that. We need to do whatever we can if the kids are in the classroom to just kind of, even if it's for 2 days, 5 days, to connect again, to remind us how great it is, to be with these people.
I completely agree. And I think what we're going to miss is, so we're starting 100% online. The relationships, when we instantly went online the very beginning of March, the relationships were critical. Like, they would come, they would work with me because they knew me. Now we don't start with that. Now it'll be Zoom relationships, which is really different. So.
Well, I mean, we teach multiple classes a day, and each classroom, each period establishes its own culture. Your 5th hour is different than your 1st hour. And so when this happened in March, if it had to happen, it's good that it happens later in the year, because the kids show up and they, it's still you, it's still them. We all know each other. It takes me a good, I'd say, by the time I get to Christmas break, I feel like I know all of the kids, and I have a good kind of cultural feel. I'm a little worried about that this year as well, but what's the alternative? So just kind of press on as best as you can and disinfect everything.
Yes. And for your mental sanity, don't read the comments when you're Board of Education.
Oh my gosh, no.
Because even though it's not about you, you take it personally. Just avoid the comment section for your mental sanity.
I think another benefit, honestly, is that for years while doing We the People or teaching We the People, I've Zoomed in people from different states or different countries to talk to my kids. And sometimes the people have been hesitant with that because they're not really familiar with it. They're a little uncomfortable with it. Now everybody's familiar and everybody's comfortable.
Right.
So maybe that will increase the amount of people that are willing to actually talk to my kids.
Agreed, 100%.
It makes it so much easier, actually. You can have all kinds of people come in every day, and it's just normal. It's a Tuesday, it's a Thursday.
Nancy, you led me to something here, and that is, in terms of the hearings, but also in terms of guest speakers, I know state coordinators who are already lining up judges from other states. I know classroom teachers who are lining up national finals judges that they encountered when they were at the national finals a year or 2 ago. And they're helping out with their hearings because geography no longer matters.
Yep.
In that sense. So you can get some pretty impressive people to come into your classroom these days to speak. One is because it's going to be fun for them, and 2, there's no cost to it, essentially. So that's another sort of positive aspect, I think, of if we're going to find some silver lining in any of this, or some way to make lemonade, then that's one thing. That you're bringing up. Mark, how'd that survey go?
The survey, okay. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the poll now. Thank you for all of you who voted. Okay, now the first question was, how is your school handling the COVID-19 issue at the start of the school year? And I'm going to go ahead and share the results. And it looks like we have 45%. The winner is, my school will be using distance learning 100% of the time. Kind of no surprise there, I guess, not from me anyway. And that, of course, that's going to change as the school year goes on. Number two, do you feel safe going back to school in person this year? And they range from totally safe, mostly unsafe, totally unsafe, and I'm not sure, mostly unsafe scored the highest. Okay, this is not a scientific sampling of all the teachers in the country, obviously, but yeah, that's pretty. I don't know. Are you guys surprised by that? That 33%? Yeah, it's not very comforting.
It's kind of
going down.
inevitable.
And it's scary. I think it's a little
people.
scarier. I mean, I've been talking to colleagues, especially, you know, at the level that we teach middle and high school, you know, a kid has 6 different teachers in the day. It's going to 6 different groups of kids in 6 different classrooms. And if that one kid tests positive, you're quarantining these kids and these kids. And it's just a domino effect. And then what happens when the teacher gets it and has to be quarantined? And then there's no sub. Like, I think there's just a lot of unintended consequences from one positive case. And in the state of Maryland, our State Department has defined an outbreak as 1 positive case. And then you have to quarantine. So
yeah, of our top 3 employers. Go ahead.
I was actually feeling kind of like, I think I can do this. I could go back into the classroom as long as it's like a blended. And then we started online, and the very first 2 days before school started, I got an email from a parent telling me one of my students was tested positive. And then I started thinking, oh, okay, there's the reality, right? The reality is there's going to be kids in the class that are tested positive and are going to be infectious. So then I started rethinking I feel good about going back into the classroom.
Right. Well, is contact tracing going to become a part of our normal vocabulary? You know, as teachers, are you going to be?
There's a lot of new Webster dictionary words this year.
Yeah, I mean, is that something? I mean, I guess you're going to have to worry about that. You know, who in your classroom has it? That might come up. Anyway, I hope not. Number 3. What teaching materials are you using to teach this year? Select all that apply. So my own custom crafted materials, I figured that most teachers, well, many teachers probably use a variety of materials, not just one thing, but you can see the results. Paper textbooks were 45%, ebooks 30%. I put in We the People ebooks on Actively Learn, and that's our new a new platform that we're using for our ebooks. And that scored surprisingly high, 39%. And then my own custom crafted materials is 73%. I'm not too surprised by that. And then lesson plans that I purchased is 6%. Any comments on that? Does the paper textbooks result 45% surprise you at all? And how do you get paper textbooks to students? How's that working in your school, Ashley?
Well, I think we're going to do it the way we collected materials. So basically the way we're going to distribute them, I think the plan is to basically have boxes with every kid's name on them in the gymnasium, and I'll take my roster, and if this is Johnny Smith's box and I have him in my class, I drop what he's supposed to get in his box, then they'll pull up outside, box will go in car's trunk, and have a nice day. And then they can look at it when they get home. And then of course, obviously, I assume we'll be wearing gloves to put stuff in boxes and things like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on using ebooks versus paper textbooks versus what, you know, anything else? Do you find yourself having to scramble for materials, or is it easy to find materials? I'm interested in that question. To teach We the People.
I think there's so many materials out there that it's hard to filter through all of the ones to find the right ones for you. So I just think there's such an amazing resource out there with most, like, Gilder Lehrman and all the different organizations that have provided all these sources. So it's about looking through all the sources.
What do you find is the most helpful for We the People teachers? Did you have any certain sites like Gilder Lehrman or any others that you find are particularly helpful for teaching We the People?
I love teachingamericanhistory.org as well, especially for the founding era. It just has such an amazing resource for the founding era. Lots of other information on there too, but really for the founding era.
I agree. I also use iCivics, the games, and some of the lesson plans, as well as the Annenberg Foundation. They have a number of really great videos.
Excellent. Very good. Go ahead. Sorry. Okay. I thought I heard someone else. Number 4, what learning management systems are you going to using to teach this year? Select all that apply. I'm not falling out of my chair with Google Classroom being 61%. That's not a surprise at all to me. And then Blackboard 0. Doesn't it seem like a few years ago Blackboard had the entire market and now they have 0 in this informal poll. Canvas 39%, Schoology 9%, Edmodo 3%, other learning management systems. I didn't put them all in there. There's a ton. And then nobody's using none out of the people who responded. So that's pretty interesting. Any thoughts on Google Classroom or any other learning management system? I know we had a comment in the chat about what would be recommended. And I believe this teacher could not use Google Classroom for whatever reason. But what do you recommend, and do you have any tips for using a learning management system?
So we use Canvas, but I actually use, and I'm not sure if you'd call it a learning management system, but I use Onenote, and I love Onenote Classroom. I'm obsessed with it because it allows the kids to actually annotate and write directly on the documents, and everything is saved directly there. They don't have to download and do all kinds of different things that you have to do in many other LMSs. So I usually direct kids to work and then they go to work in OneNote. So I really like that one.
Interesting. Is that a Microsoft product?
It is.
I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably should have included that in there. I'm sorry I didn't. And number 5, what video conferencing software will you be using this year? If I would have asked this question last year at this time, this would have been a blank stare. What? But Zoom weighs in at 70%, not too surprising there. Google Meet, 52%. I'm not surprised. Using Google Classroom, it's probably really easy to just jump on Google Meet. And then a few also RANs, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams. Nobody using Blackboard. Adobe, not many people using that. And other 9%, none, 0%. So I don't know, any thoughts about video
We're
conferencing
teachers,
software?
we go where it's free.
What's that? I'm sorry?
I said we're teachers, we go where it's free.
You go where it's free.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
I would just say a heads up to Google Meet, because our school district really wanted to move to Google Meet, even though we use Zoom in the spring, and that is the eventual plan. But breakout rooms, even the extension of breakout rooms, is going behind the enterprise paywall at the end of this month. And while they've said they're rolling it out, we got information that the breakout rooms feature of Meet might not be available till the spring. So if you need to use breakout rooms for cheap or even free, Zoom's going to be your best option.
We're blocked from Zoom. We're one-to-one district, and they blocked every single child's computer to Zoom, and so we can't use it, and it's the best. It is the best form. So we're struggling to find ways to actually break our kids into rooms, into breakout rooms, because honestly, if you all know this, you put 30 kids in a WebEx session, and it's just everyone's staring at each other. So it's bad. We're testing out all kinds of things. There's some people that are working on something called Big Blue Button as well. And Big Blue Button is supposed to also have breakout rooms in it. And it seems to be the only other free one that does have breakout rooms. And everyone else is struggling all the other companies are trying really fast to produce breakout rooms, but they're lagging and not going to come around till like September, and at the end of September, after at least we will have already been in school for 2 months. So
interesting. Yeah, Zoom wasn't made for schools. That wasn't the idea. It was going to be a business-to-business platform, but then COVID happened, like a lot of things. Well, thanks everybody for sharing your poll results. I know that we had some questions about childcare. So are your school districts doing anything or your schools doing anything to help with childcare? Or, I know that some students have to do childcare themselves. Their parents are actually, working. Both parents might be working. So the kids might be doing double duty. They might be taking care of their brother or sister and supposedly going to school at the same time. So are your schools adapting to this in any way or providing any kind of resources, or is your state helping in any way?
Not yet, but they know it's an enormous, you know, we, like I said before, we have about 3 weeks but they're working on it. I don't know how much help they'll be willing. It's a huge issue for our district, given the
Us too.
demographics.
Yeah.
Okay. And then someone asked me to tell us about Actively Learn. So Actively Learn basically is a platform, is an enhanced ebook platform. And basically it's very customizable. The price is $9 per user per year. And you can get a free lesson by going to their platform, sorry. And we're gonna have, as of August 15th or so, right around there, we're gonna have all 3 levels of the book on elementary, middle, and high school. And right now it's just middle and high school. It's very customizable. So every section there are questions like multiple choice and or short answer, and you can customize those. You can actually customize the text too. You can put in your own YouTube videos. You can take out the YouTube videos that we put in or the pictures or whatever. And it also has the kind of the standard teacher backend. So an automatic grade book that grades the multiple choice questions. You know, you can give feedback to the students privately, that kind of thing. So that's what Actively Learn is.
Yeah, and Mark,
yeah.
Mark and I and a teacher, Amanda McNoff from Virginia, did a webinar on Actively Learn last month, I believe. I get days not straightened out.
Right.
And that we will have that up on our website at some point so that you can watch that webinar. It may be that we want to do another one, Mark, at some point.
Yeah.
If people are, are interested in it, because I do think it's a good resource. I think it's a good resource before COVID and after COVID. So it's not a decision because of this situation. It makes sense anyway.
Yeah, the video is on our website, just to let you know.
Okay.
And let me just put the direct link to the video in the chat, which I just did. And so that basically is a teacher, We the People teacher, walking you through the platform and showing you all the features of it. I would start it a little bit into it. I put a link in the YouTube. Once you go to YouTube, you'll see there's a link, like right where she starts. That'll take you right where she starts to talk about the platform itself. That might help you out. Absolutely, Bob. I think we need to have a webinar once the elementary school book launches to walk us through that as well.
Yeah, I saw something come up in chat. I think I want to address, Mark.
Go for it.
I think it was Mark Dickman from Ohio brought up, are we going to do more things like this? And I want to alert you to a series that Mark Gage and I are putting together. We're calling it Power to the People. It's a webinar series, 7 weeks, starting September 17th, and then going every Thursday night, same station, same time, for 7 Thursdays.
What a great start date for that.
Yeah, yes, I just
what date is that?
September. It was very random on my part.
Is it? Oh, that's Constitution Day. That's
yeah. And so the topics are there's power of symbols, monuments and flags, kneeling, power of movements, the 19th Amendment, the struggle for the 19th Amendment and beyond, the power of voting, the Electoral College, voter suppression, gerrymandering. Now, paper ballots, we'll probably talk about that. There's the power of the criminal justice system. There's the power of the U.S. Supreme Court, recent decisions of the court coming up. I'm sure I left one out, but you see, and my hope is that when you can certainly, this is going to be for everybody, anybody in the world who wants to watch it. I think teachers will find it interesting, but my sincere hope is that the hour-long webinar will be something that you're going to want to use in your classroom. I'm asking the scholars I'm saying, look, for me, the success is teacher uses this later on because they couldn't get to it live, or their students didn't watch it live, but they can use it when it's appropriate in their classroom. So that's an idea that we're putting together right now, and it will, you know, you'll be alerted to this, and we hope everybody signs up. The other idea I'm thinking about, I've talked to Mark about it. I haven't really moved on it yet, but I can imagine a national book club. You know, the easy thing about webinars is you just show up and then watch them, pay attention to whatever. But will people want to be a part of, we've got 5 essential books that and I don't know what they are yet. I've got some in mind and so forth. But for a time period, a week after week after week, you read it, then you come to the webinar. And then there's some discussion by either the author or others who are very familiar with the materials. For example, you know, one of my favorite books obviously is 1984. I wanted to have a webinar on 1984 since I first started teaching. So maybe it's time, right? And so you get an Orwellian scholar or somebody to sort of deal with that. What are the implications for that? But there's plenty of books that we might want to read. And if we can find some money, how about this? One is we could say, here are the books, go buy them. Or if we get creative and able to get some money from a foundation, we can say, we got 100 people on this book club. Can you buy us 100 copies of X and get some money to buy you all the books? That's that's floating out there. I don't know when that's going to go, but you know, maybe in the spring, or maybe after we do the webinar series. The season 1 is that, and season 2 is going to be the book club. That's what we're thinking. You know.
Yeah, we've got some positive reaction to that in the chat, Bob. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's going to be great. I've been, you know, working with finding the scholars, and our new our new president, Christopher Riano, has really been helpful in helping me find new scholars that I don't know, that are from really his generation. So I'm excited about having the teachers out there impacted by people that are up to speed on their content background, but also these are going to be very you know, current discussions, I think, about some important issues that impact our lives. So look for that, power to the people, and other fun things. And you know, Mark said this early on, and that is, and I know we're almost about out of time, but you know, if you have really, I'm guessing, what do teachers know or want to know about, right? And I can do a pretty good job of that because I know a lot of you, and I've known a lot of you for years, and we've had conversations about this. But if there are certain issues or topics or ideas that you have, please touch base with me, because you're going to be busy with your students. Give Mark Gage and I something to work on in terms of, hey, what about this topic, or what about that issue? In your second season of Power of the People, you ought to do a week on this. I'm open to that, because I want to make sure that what we do, and more, by the way, the things that we're doing are not only for We the People teachers, they're for teachers who teach government out there who don't know anything about We the People. Maybe they get into it, maybe they don't, but more importantly for the public that are interested in these kinds of ideas. You know, many of you know that I have been, I'm not doing it this fall because of COVID, is I've been teaching Constitution 101, a 6-week course for adults. They love this stuff. And I think that with what we're doing, not necessarily this discussion tonight, but other kinds of content areas, anybody who's an American citizen might be interested in watching something on the power of the criminal justice system. So when you get these links, people will have to register, so we'll take care of the privacy and things like that. But you can certainly send them around to others and saying, hey, you may be interested in this. I know everybody in the world is doing Zoom kinds of meetings like this, but we want to compete with that, and we want to do good stuff. So to do that, we need your help to a certain degree. Mark, I'm done. Do we have some questions out there, Mark, from folks that are on the screen?
Let's see. Well, we did have one question from Karina Whiteside about, she said, should we expect our district and state hearings to be virtual? How do we prepare our students for that?
Yeah. Well, let me start with that. And I would say, I think all of the hearings across the country are going to be virtual, district, state, regional. I don't know about next year's national finals, but we'll see. But certainly this fall and certainly into January and February. My advice to you is talk to your state coordinator about what their plans are. They're all thinking about this now. We know, because some of you in this or sitting here on this call know this is possible because you did it at the National Finals Challenge in the spring. We pulled that off, and we did it with 30 classes. So I can see that that in a state, district, or regional, or even a state event, that this is certainly possible. It needs help. You need people that know how to do it, and I'm not, well, I will say, call Mark Gage, but you could, there are other people that go back to our website and see if you can, the written instructions about how to do these things in your classroom. It looks just like this. You've got kids and judges and a facilitator. And in some ways, we've been trying to be positive a little bit, is I can see the students when I watched the hearings last spring. I could see them. Instead of having to be in the front row at the national finals, I can see them right there. I can see all the judges, and the interaction was fantastic among the kids. They didn't miss a beat on all of this. And I think I got a lot of emails from teachers saying, one, thank you for putting something on, and two, it was great. And we didn't have one issue, a few microphone problems, but we had 645 students, all right, and 30 classes. So is it possible? Yes, it's very possible at the state level, at the district level, and regional level. Will you have to do it that way? Yes. And I might want to say one more thing. It's We the People is the opposite of social distancing. We bring kids and adults together, and I'm very happy about that. But this fall, that almost might be malpractice to say we're going to bring kids together, and it's just not a good idea. And so therefore, the challenge is going to be for you guys and the students. And by the way, I didn't really worry about the students knowing what to do. We worried about the judges knowing what to do. And they were great, they were fine, but I had confidence that the teachers and the kids would be able to get on 90 hearings on Saturday and 90 hearings on Sunday at different times. It was quite remarkable, in my opinion, because of everybody who was involved in it and all the people who helped with it. So, and here's the good news for me. I now don't have to fly to Seattle to watch Gretchen's class in the national finals. I can watch it on Zoom, right?
It's not the same, Robert.
It's not the same, and I would love to go there. But you see what I'm saying? I'm going to be pretty busy this fall because I'm hoping I'll get to see a lot more state competitions than I have, in the past because of the travel problem. Right? It's not going to be, and so that's exciting for me to be able to step in and see. This summer, I already watched in Nevada. They did hearings at their end of their summer institute, and I got to see the teachers testify in hearings and preparing for them to be We the People teachers next year. So it's kind of easy in that sense to be involved in these kinds of things. So I'm going to stop there. I know we're almost out of time here, Mark, but are there any teachers that want to step up and say, I'm saying you can do it, now you need to tell them how to do it?
So go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, I was just going to say my biggest piece of advice, and this kind of goes along with what Bob was saying, is that talk to your state coordinator and know what platform they're going to use for the state competition. Because if they're planning on using Zoom and your district doesn't allow it, then your guys are going to have to come up with it. Because the last thing you want on competition day is kids having to learn a new platform to compete. That was the biggest thing that the one thing my kids weren't worried about at all was the technology, because that's how we have been practicing since March by the time we got to the national finals. So that's my biggest piece of advice is whatever platform you're going to use for the competition, use it with them. Even if you're in person, even if it's hybrid or whatever, if there's even a possibility it could be virtual, find out what that platform is going to be and do it with the kids.
And I would take it just a little bit further and say not only the platform, which is really important, but exactly what is it going to look like,
Yes.
right? Because I thought that you guys did a fabulous job with nationals telling us exactly how it was going to run. We're going to have the judges in a waiting room. They're going to come and you're going to do this. And so that you can mimic that so the kids feel really comfortable. We do that whenever we're preparing for live competitions. So we want to be able to do that when we're preparing for a virtual competition as well.
That's right.
We need a clone Mark. Bob, can we do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, Mark will be the first one to admit, we had 12 facilitators at the national finals. One, because we had two groups. And the why number 12 is it's by units. If you're doing a state competition, you're going to need 6 facilitators to do 1 per unit. Those people need to be well trained, and they were key to the success of all of this. And they were great, by the way. Their temperament, they knew how to fix problems. They were just, cool under pressure. And getting those people trained and ready to go is going to be key. And that's what I've been talking to state coordinators about is you need to do what I did. And that was wake up on Saturday morning and go, oh my God, there's the national finals challenge going on and I can't do anything right now except go on and hope it's going to happen. And it did. But if you're that well prepared, you can wake up and as a state coordinator and the show is running because you've got these great facilitators. And Mark is available, but there's others. There's Tim Calgreen from Indiana. There's Ryan Susky from Ohio. There's Christina Hull from Nevada, to name a few. Ellen from Michigan that are very, very good at this. And that's what you want to find out is they don't need to know anything about the Constitution, but they do need to know how to run a Zoom meeting. And if you've got that, the battle is won.
Yep.
Agreed.
Okay,
Mark?
well, we do have Cheryl. Are you on the line right now? Cheryl Cook?
I am on the line.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, Bob. So, this is Cheryl Cook-Callio. I'm the California State Coordinator. I'm also on the national board. One of the things, and Bob I hit the raise my hand button before Bob actually finished speaking. The thing that I thought about the national finals is the facilitators were extremely well trained. We have decided in California to go all virtual. We've already met with all the regional coordinators. And the one thing that we're going to do is start training facilitators immediately so that they can not only help with, we do a informal district competition. All of the state does in their different regions, but we also do a regional and we do a state competition. And we're hoping that those facilitators will practice the platform with the classes before we get to the competition. I thought the national finals went incredibly well. And even those judges that had problems with their computers because of broadband issues or whatever knew to call in. So people didn't miss the beat. It was incredibly well run. And I was just going to type an email and I will continue to do that. Bob and Mark, you guys are awesome about this. I think the resources that you're offering to the teachers in this country, whether they're We the People teachers or not, is extraordinary. And I try to post it on my Facebook page and on my California We the People page. Excuse me. And Fred, thank you for checking on those books.
Thanks, Cheryl. That was nice of you to say.
Yeah, let me just say a word about practice. We did during the national finals made sure the facilitators practiced with a teacher, one or two teachers, and make sure they're all checked out and their students are checked out. And we assigned them judges too, based on whatever judges they had, unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, whatever. And the one kind of valuable insight I have is, if you have someone on your team who is having technical problems, would be it a facilitator or a judge, make sure that you solve that before the competition, or don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, we can't use you because we don't know if you're going to be able to connect on the day of the event. And as for students, they can always connect if they're using Zoom or just about any platform, they can always connect on the phone. And that should be their backup. That should be the first thing they do. I mean, you can try to get them to reconnect if you have enough time, but if you don't, they should just be comfortable with finding the phone number for their hearing and calling on the phone, because the phone just about always works. And it's better to hear their voice and not see them than to not see them or hear their voice. So that's my advice for that.
And if I could add to it, there's some uncontrollable, all those uncontrollables out there. And I think grace is really important. And that's what you guys did, like grace on timing, because there's just some things we can't control for. And it happened and it was fine. So.
And we're not judging, we just made sure the judges know, you're not judging based on whether their, brother or sister is screaming in the background, or whether they have, I don't know, posters behind them on the wall or whatever, or their connection, or whether they're on a phone or a MacBook Pro, whatever. It's really the quality of their arguments and the quality of what they're saying. That's the most important thing.
Mark, I see we're just a little
bit
over
time, of course.
Is there any good questions or pressing
There's
questions?
so many good questions. I can't really find anything really that we haven't covered. So I would say we can, Cheryl says, what's wrong with the MacBook Pro? Nothing, Cheryl, nothing. No, that's it, Bob. I think we can wrap up, and I'll have this video posted tomorrow on YouTube and Facebook and wherever you find quality videos.
Well, I'd like to thank all of our guests tonight for giving your stories. I hope that others have similar issues and so forth that you've been helpful with. I find it interesting that it would be kind of fun to go a couple of months and bring this crowd back together and go, okay, you said this was going to happen. What happened? And where are we in 2 or 3 months? And I have no idea whether that even makes sense. When, because we could do this every week if we wanted to, which we're not going to do. But as things are changing, obviously. So I started teaching. I was talking to the group before we started the webinar that I started teaching. Student taught at Mike Potts' school, Brown County Junior High, in the spring of 1977, and then the fall of 77, I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, teaching in Harrison Park Junior High. And, as a young teacher, I was challenged. They gave me all of the kids who were high absentee problems and below C averages and said, here, fix them. Okay. I'm the least experienced teacher in the building, but I probably had the biggest heart and love for students. And I did, I think, some interesting things. That was a challenge, but I have to say that this, what you're facing out there this semester, is a huge challenge. And I just, my philosophy in teaching was always, if you expect more, you get more. And I guess I have that same philosophy when it comes to the teachers that I know across the country, including the people on the screen, I expect a lot out of you, and then I think you're going to get a lot out of it in that sense, because of who you are as a person. So, you know, meeting this challenge is, you know, and I was talking to a group last week, and I said, you know, I have a lot of, I mean, I think an important job in America is being a judge. I was speaking to lawyers, so good thing. But I believe that. But I say, you know, there's a close second, or at least tied with it, are teachers who teach government, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, in elementary, middle, and high school. I mean, that if you live in a democratic republic, which we do, then that's a must. You know, I taught math. That's important. I get it. But your responsibility to engage young people today for the future of this country is vital. And I don't think that's trite or even, you know, it's not even, it's just true. And I just want to thank you for all that you do and all that you're going to have to do this semester. And as Cheryl said, you know, Mark and I and the Center for Civic Education, we want to be helpful whatever capacity we can do. You know, we're not going in the classroom, you are. So what can we do to support that effort in some way? So good luck this fall. I'm sure we'll meet again on another Zoom call, either with the series that we're putting together or something like what's an update on what's going on in schools and blah, 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 or whatever makes sense. So I want to, again, thanks for all your participation. Have a great evening and good luck with your classes.
Thanks,
All right,
Bob.
good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.